A lot of people are put off making quiche because they think it's too complicated with having to make pastry and all that sort of stuff. Well, today I'm going to show you a fabulous quiche recipe that not only is crustless, so you don't have to worry about making pastry, but it's made with basic ingredients, most of which you probably already have in your kitchen right now. Let's make my beautiful tuna and corn crustless quiche on the One Pot Chef. First things first, to make our crustless quiche, what we're going to do is we've got an 8 cup or 2 litre capacity baking dish, and I've just lightly greased it by spraying it with a little bit of oil. And because we're not making a pastry, we need something that sort of stops the egg mixture from sticking, so we're going to be using some dry breadcrumbs. So I've got 1/4 cup of dry breadcrumbs. I'm just going to sprinkle that all over the bottom and just tilt the dish so all the sides get coated in the breadcrumbs. It's a little bit messy, but it's the best way to do it. And just keep going until all the sides are covered. Any excess breadcrumbs I've just spread evenly across the bottom. That's good, so we can just set that aside while we work on our other ingredients. Next, I've got 6 eggs. And all I'm going to do is use my sexy red whisk of death and just give them a light beating until all the yolks are broken and they're roughly mixed together. Next, I've got a 185 gram can of tuna in Springwater. And I'm using the one in Springwater rather than one in oil because I find that the oily one tends to make this a bit too greasy. Now, I say tuna, that's how we pronounce it here in Australia. For my American friends, that's tuna. I always find that funny. It's not a tuna. No? Really? Whatever. So, 185 grams of tuna. We just drained it and flaked it up with a fork, and we're just going to add that into our eggs. We're also adding in a 400 gram can of creamed corn. This helps to make our mixture very creamy without actually adding any cream to it, like a quiche should be. Plus we get that lovely flavour of the corn, and corn and tuna always go well together. There I go again with my tuna. Tuna is not a tuna. Alright, I'll stop. For a bit of cheesiness, I'm adding in 1/2 cup of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And for a bit of colour, I'm adding in some freshly chopped chives, about 1 bunch, roughly 20 grams roughly, I would say. That's a rough estimate, I didn't really measure it. I love using chives in a quiche because it gives you that mild onion flavour without having big chunks of onion all through it. Plus I also find the green really just gives it that lovely fresh look. So all we need to do now is just quickly mix everything together. Season with a little bit of salt and some pepper. Give that one last mix. Last but not least, we've got a bit of a topping mixture to make, which is a 1/4 cup of dried breadcrumbs, just like we used for the base. And I'm adding in a 1/4 cup of that grated Parmesan cheese. And all we need to do is just mix that together. Perfect. We are ready to start assembling our quiche. So we've got our prepared oven dish, and we're just going to pour our egg mixture in. And just smooth the surface so it's nice and even. And just sprinkle over our cheese and breadcrumb mixture. And our tuna and corn crustless quiche is ready to go into the oven. Preheated oven, 180 degrees Celsius, 360 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 35 to 40 minutes, or until it's just set. While our quiche is baking in the oven, I thought I'd take this opportunity to remind you to check out my social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Links in the video description underneath this video on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the subscribe button and the notification bell next to the subscribe button. That way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. Our tuna and corn crustless quiche is fresh out of the oven. We're going to allow it to stand on the counter for about 10 minutes to cool before we start slicing it up and serving. And here we have some of our completed tuna and corn crustless quiche, and it's absolutely divine. It smells amazing. It's lovely and moist and eggy in the centre. You've got that slight sort of crispness to the outside with the cheese and breadcrumb mixture, and it's so easy to slice and serve. Absolutely, you must try this. You are going to love it. That's looking absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to dive in and have a taste. Ooh, come to me, baby. It's beautifully moist on the inside, and you've got the flavours of the corn and the tuna, a little bit from the chives. You get that little bit of light oniony background to it. And of course, you've got what I call a crustless quiche, but it's actually got a bit of a crust on the outside on the top where the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan cheese have made a thin little layer on top. It gives it a little bit of texture, and it's absolutely delicious. Well, I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Check out my other videos at OnePotChefShow.com. And until next time, see you later. Like many of my recipes, this one is the base version and is very easily adapted to suit your own personal taste. If you're not a fan of tuna, you could replace it with some shredded cold chicken. If you wanted to do a vegetarian version, you could replace the meat with pretty much any vegetable combination you like. You could add some spinach, you could add some chopped sun-dried tomatoes, some char-grilled eggplant. You could do all sorts of combinations. So come up with your own ideas and let me know in the comments what version you would like to make of this.